Good evening. Let us discuss 12th June 2015 newspaper. The first issue is related to climate change. Now, the Paris conference is about to come up. In this context, what shall be the India's strategy in the Paris conference? We all know that the existing system is the nation self-determination. It means every country can determine its contribution for itself. That is, to self-determine its national contribution is the present policy with regard to the climate change talks. Now, already European Union, United States and China, they have expressed their contributions indirectly. European Union, it wants to cut down the emissions to the level of 40% on 1990 levels by 2030. US wants to cut down the greenhouse gas emissions by 26 to 28% on 2005 levels by 2025. And China also want to achieve something higher. Now coming to India, what has to be the strategy? Anywhere, the discussions on the climate change can be on broadly four issues. One is mitigation of climate change. Next is adaptation. The third thing is technology transfer. The fourth thing is finances related to the climate change. So these are the four central points anywhere any issue related to the climate change is. Now with regard to the mitigation, it is about cutting down the greenhouse gas emissions. Adaptations, it is about giving adaptability funds, etc., especially for these nations which are going to submerge. And next is technology transfer, the clean energy is transferred to the developing and underdeveloped countries. And polluters providing for the money or finances to the developing world. These are the four issues always will be central. Now in this case, India has to provide for its developmental needs, and India at the same time also has to increase its credibility in the climate talks. How can we achieve this? Both the goals is the center of this article. Now if you see, India always stuck to this per capita emissions, and India is lowest with regard to per capita emissions. And India is always criticized that it is hiding behind its population. So if we see by per capita emissions, India emits just 1/3 of the global average for per individual. On the other hand, if you see overall emissions in the country, India comes up in third place. So in this context, what this article argues is the balancing between the developmental needs and the emission reductions has to be a very fine activity for India. So with regard to the emission reductions, in Copenhagen summit, India has brought in the concept of a carbon intensity. It means that how much of the GHG, greenhouse gas emissions, are coming from the economy for a GDP of growth. So for a per unit of production, how much of the emissions we are bringing in. So we want to decrease the carbon intensity rather than the carbon emissions. The European Union and US, they talked about GHG emissions. On the other hand, India is talking about intensity of the carbon emissions. It means that the rise in the carbon will be decreased rather than the total emissions per se. And next the article says is that it's a good strategy which we can continue. So where previously we have promised around 25%, we can increase 10 more percent, and we can say 30 to 35% by 2030. We can decrease the carbon intensity on 2005 levels. And the second thing, it is talking about an approach called as co-benefits. What is this co-benefits? It means the added benefits what we get when we try to control the climate change. For example, I have a car. If I drive the car, what are the emissions I am bringing in? So if I stop driving the car, the reduction in emissions is a direct climate change benefit. Added to that, if I take a walk or if I use a bicycle, what are the health benefits I am going to get? To that extent, what is the stress I am decreasing on the healthcare system? That is an indirect benefit. So similarly, reduction in climate change, it will improve the quality of air, decrease the cancers. All these things, if you see, the climate change actions has many other benefits. So we have to see, balance these two things. That is what is described as a co-benefits approach. So India has to devise a policy taking the clue from this co-benefits approach. And using the co-benefits, we are supposed to provide for sector to sector assessment how the India is going to move forward. And next is the systemic problems with regard to the foreign policy in India. Understand that the government gives the intention. So this intention has to be made into reality by the bureaucracy. So a strong foreign system or foreign ministry and bureaucratic architecture of this ministry is necessary. So here there are two divisions. One is called as line division and staff division. So line division is our ambassadors. The staff division is nothing but think tank. The staff division has to be more specialized. The line division can be generalist. So in public administration, government gives the intention. It has to be taken forward by bureaucracy. And the line of the bureaucracy is the implementing agency. And there has to be a staff which has to act as a think tank. So in this context, let us see what are the problems with the foreign policy establishment. Now with regard to line agencies, the human resources are the major problem. So the recruitment and training, so they are confining themselves to the routine work, but not towards the strategic thinking, and we are severely understaffed with regard to the IFS officers. And the second thing is, interdepartmental coordination is absent, especially the IFS officers were not deputed into other departments, for example, Ministry of Finance, Commerce, etc. That is the reason why they cannot see a particular issue from their perspective. And the third thing is this, the specialist orientation is missing. It means the think tank in the Ministry of External Affairs, that is called as the planning machinery, it is filled with the seasoned bureaucrats who are not change oriented. So we want to bring external agents who can bring in a long-term vision and a strategic thinking into the Ministry of External Affairs. So that is what is called policy planning has to be improved. So what are the solutions? Doubling the cadre of the existing IFS officers, providing for immediate assignments or immediate recruitment of the specialists into Ministry of External Affairs, and next is providing for interministerial coordination through deputation of the IFS officers across the various departments and conducting a separate exam for the recruitment of the IFS officers by testing their real intentions or their attitude for the foreign services. So especially in a contemporary globalized world where networking is very much important, an in-depth understanding of the various issues becomes much important. A strategic thinking and a proactive role is necessary on the part of the bureaucracy. It means that an in-depth understanding and study is necessary. Then specialists can play a better role. So with regard to the strategic thinking, this is what is the article talks about. And next is, recently CVC and CIC are appointed. Mr. K.V. Chowdhury was appointed as the CVC. Now, in a democracy, understand how this government is interacting with the institutions. How the system is functioning is also important. The ends are as important as the means. It means any process that is happening in the government, if it is known to the people, then it will have the greater respect. So, in this context, these appointments and the basis of these appointments are made known to the people, then it can provide for the greater legitimacy to their appointments. As these are the highest offices to maintain the integrity and transparency, better government has to divulge the necessary information. And next is Islamic State, various Mosul in Iraq, and next is Palmyra, a city in Syria. All these are falling to the Islamic State. Then why this is happening? So now there is no united front on fight against the Islamic State. United States don't want to go along with the Assad forces in Syria. And similarly, Iraq do not like to work with Iran. and Saudi and Turkey, they do not work with any of the Shia fragments. All this makes the Sunni Shia Kurds fight, which is providing for sectarian fault lines leading to the advancement of the IS. That is going to be dangerous. Recently, the reports are also coming up that IS has made its inroads into Kashmir in India. And next is, with regard to the hot pursuit action in Myanmar, again, any hot pursuit action, so if cooperation existed between two countries, it shall not create any problems to the country which has cooperated with India. This jingoism, chest thumping, etc. by the existing government, it has led to some irritations with the Myanmar. So, understand, the inexperience of the existing government can be seen in taking up these particular complicated cross-border actions and operations. These are the things in this article. And next is, let us see the notes. Already I have discussed about the climate change. So climate change is all about four things. What are the four things? Mitigation, adaptation, finances and technology transfer. So with regard to mitigation, what is the India strategy at the Paris conference? It has to be based on so-called carbon intensity. The second one is with regard to the co-benefits approach. So these are the things. Next is, so we understood what are the co-benefits are. After that, appointment of CVC and CIC, it has to be transparent. And next is how to improve the functioning of the Ministry of External Affairs. How to bring in specialized thinking in the policy circles in Ministry of External Affairs. So these are the things we need to understand in the today's paper. Thank you very much. Due to some personal work, I was unable to upload last two videos, which I will complete it today. And sorry for this inconvenience. Thank you very much.